I can guarantee you have multiple friends and family members that are injecting themselves with Mounjaro to lose fat for summer this year. But most people are ignoring these two key things that will determine whether or not they keep the fat off for life, which we're going to dive into today. Now let's call weight loss injections what they really are, which is just another fad diet. And before you all get so angry, start typing I'm a clown in the comments, just hear me out. These injections, they're not magic. They just work by suppressing your appetite so you naturally eat less food and are naturally placed into a calorie deficit. That's it. No magic, no secret, just eating fewer calories and not feeling as hungry. Now the most popular one out there right now is Mounjaro, and that's because it reduces your calorie intake by 500 to 600 calories a day, which of course puts you into a pretty aggressive calorie deficit. Now if you're put into a pretty aggressive calorie deficit for months on end, of course you're going to lose fat. But here's the thing most people don't realise, it's not just fat that you're losing. And by the way, if we haven't met before, my name's De-Netto, and I'm an online fat loss coach that's helped over 200 women break free from the toxic fad diet cycle that has seen them stuck for years on end. And now they can live life, enjoy themselves, and eat good food without any fad diets, scare, or fear of going back to how they were, and definitely without injections. Now, when people lose weight too quickly, whether it's from injections, extreme calorie deficits, or fad diets, it's not just fat that you're actually losing. You're losing things like muscle mass, bone density, connective tissues including ligaments and cartilage, and also a shit ton of water. And that becomes an awfully big problem when someone hasn't changed their lifestyle at all, because let me ask you this, if someone isn't strength training, if they're barely eating, if their muscles are wasting away, what do you think happens? Their joints become unstable, they become weaker, their risk of injury shoots up through the roof, and suddenly they're, sure, lighter on the scales, but also extremely weak and at massive high risk of injury on a daily basis. And here's another issue that no one ever really talks about on the jabs as well, is that if you lose weight really, really quickly, you end up a lot of the time with a lot of loose skin. That in a normal calorie deficit, with someone that's resistance-based training, you'd be gaining muscle at the same time, but a lot of these people on Mounjaro have no energy because they're in such a harsh deficit. They don't weight train, so they end up with loads of loose skin. They end up not feeling confident because they've got saggy skin everywhere. So they end up covering themselves up, and actually, despite the fact they've lost fat, they still hate what they see in the mirror, meaning they've paid all this money and gone through this trauma to inject themselves every single day to be almost in exactly the same place, just the other extreme end of it, where they're no longer fat, but they're extremely skinny, extremely scrawny, and they have no muscle, so they have no shape. But honestly, here's the biggest problem. If someone hasn't changed their lifestyle at all and just injected themselves to get some level of what they would deem to be success, what do you think happens the moment they stop taking the injection? Exactly, the weight comes back, often 4 times faster than your traditional fad dieter, as medical studies have now shown, which means if you have to keep taking it to maintain your success, it makes it no better than, you guessed it, a fad diet. Only this one has cost you thousands and thousands of pounds. Yeah, no thank you. So if you actually want fat loss that lasts without having to inject yourself every single week, then instead just do these 2 things, which are incredibly simple. First of all, it's put yourself into a sustainable calorie deficit. Fat loss will always boil down to, are you in a calorie deficit or are you not? If you are, you'll lose weight. If you're not, you won't. But it doesn't need to be so extreme. Instead, take your body weight in pounds and multiply it by 12, which will give you a nice, happy, easy breezy calorie deficit that allows you to have Maltesers, Freddo bars, a glass of wine, alongside some really good, nutritious, quality food. And alongside that times 12 your body weight in pounds deficit number, simply times your body weight in pounds by 0.8 to get your protein goal. Now you might be thinking, why such a high protein goal? And the answer is honestly really simple. Protein helps keep you fuller for longer, helps your muscles recover. And if you stay fuller for longer with muscles that recover properly, they're going to change shape, you're going to build muscle, you're going to find sticking to calorie deficit even easier because you're not feeling starved and hungry all the time. And guess what? You're going to not only drop fat, but achieve real body shape change. Because if we're not looking to change how our body shape looks, then if we lose fat by just sticking to a deficit with no protein, we'll again have loads of loose skin and just look horrible, which is not the point. The second thing is something most people massively underestimate, and that's walking more, and it's so important. And the reason it's so important is because up to 30% of your daily calorie burn comes from something called NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And in short, is all the calories you burn outside of formal exercise settings, such as the gym or your home workout. Things like walking to the shops, taking a dog for a walk, taking the stairs rather than the lift, walking rather than driving. All these little things add up massively, and they really do contribute towards a higher daily calorie burn, which coupled with a higher deficit means that you release more feel-good endorphins, you feel more energized, and you can make better choices. So if right now you're thinking, God, how many steps a day do I need to do? It doesn't need to be 10,000 steps a day. Simply look at your smartwatch, add an extra 2,000 steps a day onto that total, and start actioning that from today, every single day, and I promise you, results will be so much easier. And if you want a bonus third thing that's massively level up your results, it's improving your sleep. Aiming for 7 to 8 hours each night massively helps regulate your hormones, such as ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. If this is out of whack, you feel way more hungry, and alongside leptin, which is your fatloss hormone, when this then decreases when you don't sleep enough, these two work together to make you feel more hungry and mean that even after eating, you don't feel as satisfied as you would do if you'd slept for 7 to 8 hours. Couple that with your cortisol levels increasing, which is your stress hormone, you're going to be craving more sugary crap and you're going to retain way more water. Now, when all three of these hormones are out of whack, you're always going to feel hungry, never going to feel full, and always going to be craving sugar. And what do you think happens then? That's right, you binge eat, you feel tired, you don't do what you said you were going to do, your meal plan goes out the window, and fat loss inevitably becomes that much harder. So instead of following the crowd of your friends and family that are injecting themselves to lose weight, simply do something that's way more powerful, which is building a healthy lifestyle, going through what we've just gone through today. Calorie deficit, protein goal, steps, and sleep. Because this actually lasts and will put you ahead of the rest of the population, and it's free. If you've enjoyed this video, I would love it if you just hit that subscribe button, because it ultimately helps me reach more women just like you who want to break free from the toxic fad diet cycle, injection-free, and just learn how to get results that they can actually keep without having to inject themselves every single week. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next video.